They say that repeating the same mistake again and again is a clear sign of you fooling yourself. And baby, you's a fool.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. A podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced. Hey, y'all. Ladies, how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all all right? Did y'all miss me? Y'all know I missed y'all. And guess what? It is that time. I told y'all that y'all threw my schedule off a little bit with this contest, but I got some really great suggestions. And of course, I posted it in the Facebook group for everyone to vote. Some people sent me their votes via email, but I ain't tripping. The top 3 that were in the group for the votes were Infomobsters, the Infomites, and the Infamigos. Now, I got about 20 entries total on the different suggestions for the listening contest. I'm trying to come up with a name for y'all, my loyal listeners. I was trying to, be creative with the whole infamous thing. And some of y'all had some really good ones. Some of them was just, mm, some of them was just kinda out there, but there were a few that stood out and a few that people really liked, which was the Infomobsters, the Infamigos, and the Infomites. Those were the top 3. So without further ado, the winner of the contest, per voting from both the Facebook group and from the email entries, is going to be that was my little fake drum roll. The Infomobsters. And the reason why that one is because you guys voted for it, obviously. But, I kind of like that because it's real catchy. It's like literally like gang gang style. Like y'all be going hard for these episodes, like gang gang. You know what I'm saying? It's really catchy. So get ready because y'all already know how I am. There's gonna be merchandise, there's gonna be t-shirts, cups, all kind of stuff with the Info Mobsters. So if you are listening, if you have just joined the podcast, welcome. Welcome, welcome, my info mobsters. We gonna be steady mobbing. I like that. I like that. Okay. Now I've already got a design that's being created. Oh, and a special shout out to the individual that suggested info mobsters, Miss Kelly Pittman. She had a lot of dope entries actually, like, she had, like, 3 or 4. But, and matter of fact, now that I think about it, I think the top 3 came from her that everybody, was really vibing with. But shout out to Miss Kelly Pittman. She won the $50, which will be Cash App to her, and I'm gonna tag her in the Facebook group as well and, contacting via email to make sure that she receives her prize. So everybody give it up for Kelly Pittman. And for everybody that submitted entries, thank you so much. Y'all gave some really good ones. Um, like I said, some people gave some where I was just like, wait, like some of them were just kind of like, eh. And for those that don't know, Infamigos was the second place runner up. Infamigos was a really good one, but then somebody hit me and was like, well, that might be a little racially ambiguous right now with what's going on in the climate of the world. So, yeah, there were 13 votes for Infamobsters, and then there were 8 votes for Infamigos, and I think it was like 5 for or 2 for Infomites. But yeah, Info Mobsters it is. So from now on, y'all gonna hear me say, hey, my Info Mobsters, we steady mobbing, I like it. I like it. I can't wait to say that when I close out the episode. Like that's gonna be my new closeout. Stay mobbing, y'all. So also if you recall, I told you all that I was going to be talking about my next book release. I am dropping a book next month on my birthday, March 11th. It is going to be epic. It's a really big day because obviously, duh, I'm releasing a new book. The book is called Captive. In the heart of a vibrant HBCU campus, Monique Cook is on the brink of graduating, blissfully unaware of the harsh realities that lie beyond her sheltered life. With dreams of independence and a bright future, she's coaxed by her adventurous best friend, Soraya, to step out of her comfort zone and embrace the social scene. As Monique navigates the complexities of college life, she meets the charismatic and mysterious Andre Perk Franklin, who captivates her with charm and attention and awakening feelings that she never knew existed. However, beneath his alluring facade lurks a sinister agenda that Monique is oblivious to. When a night of celebration turns into a terrifying nightmare, Monique finds herself kidnapped and thrust into a dark world of human trafficking. Yes, y'all, this baby will be dropping March 11th, so get ready. Naturally, as a true crime podcaster, I wanted to do something a little different instead of the typical romance stories that I write about. This is my first thriller, and I can't wait for you all to see the twists and turns that are in this one. Like when I started writing it, woof, baby, I got to look carried away. Okay. All right, y'all. So now that we got all of that out of the way, you know my next question, right? I do have one more surprise for y'all, but I'm gonna wait till the end of the episode. But y'all know my next question. What you sipping on? This is season 2, episode 10. So I need to know what you drinking. Today, my drink of choice is some red turtle vodka. Got a nice little, soft mix today. I put some of that plus some of this Jamaican mango punch, spiked it with a little bit of the, red turtle vodka from Nassau, Bahamas, and it is really good. I got the vodka from the John Watling Distillery. It's kind of nice and fruity, and it will sneak up on your ass. And then, of course, for my snacks, I got my popcorn. And lately, I've been hooked on these damn cookies and cream Hershey bars. Like my son got me hooked on them things. And I know I gotta slow up on the sugar because I definitely just had a root canal, but they are good. So, yeah, just thought I'd throw that in there. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all are drinking on. And like I said, I do have one more big announcement that I want to tell y'all about. Y'all want to hear it? Y'all ready to hear it? All right, here it go. Psych, you gotta wait to the end of the episode. Listen, I can't give you everything all at once, okay? I done told y'all the winner of the contest. I done told y'all about the book release, but this announcement that I'm gonna tell y'all about at the end of the episode, baby, oh, y'all are gonna love it. I'm gonna tell you though, get your coins together. That's all I can say. This is something that, I've been thinking about for a minute. So, before anything else happens, we got to get into this episode because, baby, this one here, I know they say black men don't cheat, but they definitely lie and they damn sure kill you. Okay? Y'all ready for this one? Let's get into it. Y'all already know what time it is. Let's get it. This week's case involves Pamela Lark, victim, Christina Henry, surviving victim, Donovan Diaz, surviving victim, Kiera Dashiell, accomplice and Ty'Quan's girlfriend at the time, and the infamous murderer, Ty'Quan Knox. Born to Carla Knox Taylor in 1987, Ty'Quan Carl Knox was a star athlete. Now, there's not much on his childhood or upbringing, but based on his mother's actions later as the story unfolds, I can just about guess what kind of childhood he had. It was probably one with lack of accountability and one where he got away with stuff and needed to get his ass whooped. But yeah, I digress. Y'all will find out soon enough. But he could attended Crenshaw High School in Los Angeles, California, and he graduated in 2006. Now, unfortunately, Taekwon's troubles started when he was in high school. See, Taekwon had a little bit of a temper. Now, yes, he was a star football player. He was a wide receiver. And, homie has some really good numbers. He was like 6'1", 195 pounds. He was killing it out there on the field. Know what I'm saying? Everybody knew he was the man, including him. He had colleges that were throwing some serious offers his way, like Oregon, Fresno, Arizona State. He was so good that Washington and Arizona State, they were, ready to give scholarship offers. They were literally just, like, all right, let's see what you got. But in all actuality, Taekwon really wanted to go to UCLA. Now, when he was, out there on the field and everything and doing his thing, this was like around 2005, okay? Because remember what I said, he graduated in 2006 from Crenshaw High School. So 2005-ish is when kind of everything starts to take place. Now, at the time, Taekwon kind of like fucked up big time. Like, I mean, big time. So it's homecoming 2005. And y'all know how it is in high school when you got homecoming. You got, homecoming is nothing but the parade and the homecoming court, the dance, and of course, the big game. Well, that's at least the way I remember it. Like, I remember being in the homecoming parade. Y'all, I was so mad because it had started raining while we were in the parade, and, everybody's sitting on top of their cars and everything, and I was sitting on top of the bins, and, I had my hair done and my dress on, and I had stayed up all night working on these posters. I was running for Miss, Senior, and I was kinda leery about running, but, like, yeah, I had stayed up all night and worked on them posters. Get on that damn car, and everything is going good, and then a freaking thunderstorm happens, and it starts raining, and all the little posters that I had worked on got ruined and got wet, and my hair too, and this was back in the day before lace fronts. Oh, y'all know I was hot. And then on top of that, I ended up losing because y'all know homecoming ain't nothing but a popularity contest anyway, and the girl that won was, Little Miss Popular with the IQ of a fucking fruit fly. Cause hell, she used to pay me to do her work, but I digress, It's all to the G, cause now I'm built like this, and shawty built like an out of shape stork, so yeah, it is what it is. Anywho, so it's homecoming 2005 and it's the big football game. Now, I couldn't find out who won or who lost, but I'm guessing that Crenshaw lost because Taekwon had like a attitude, like a real stank ass attitude. And after the game, Taekwon's girlfriend at the time, Rayshonda Livingstone, she's, trying to get his attention. Now, whatever Rayshonda said, Taekwon did not like. Like, he was on some Divorce in the Black type shit. I don't know. Shout out to Tyler Perry for that movie, Divorce in the Black. Like, he was straight, y'all know Corey Hardrick's, character, Dallas in the movie. That nigga there, he played that role. "Do you wanna lose your job, bitch?" Like, wait, y'all, pause. Okay, I don't know if y'all listen to Melanin Mysteries. He gonna probably kick my ass for this, but, Melanin Mysteries is another true crime podcast, a Black true crime podcast, and it's hosted by Tiffany and Willie. Y'all, I promise you, Willie look like that nigga Corey Hardrick in the movie Divorce in the Black. Listen, Willie, don't get mad. I promise you, when I first saw Willie's picture, all I was thinking was, "You wanna lose your job, bitch?" Like, that's all I saw was Divorce in the Black. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. Back to the matter at hand. So, like I was saying, Taekwon and his girl Rayshonda, they get into it. And it's not like they're by themselves. They're in front of a whole bunch of people and they're arguing and everything. And then all of a sudden, pop, Taekwon punches Rayshonda, his girlfriend, mind you, in the face. He hit her so hard that he knocked her completely unconscious. And oh, this is early, but baby, let me tell you,
No, you done fucked up, right? No, 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 no. You know you done fucked up, right?
baby, the way that there would have been pallbearers carrying your ass, mm-mm. It would if if my child, a daughter, who is your girlfriend, is knocked unconscious from a nigga having a temper tantrum, oh, please understand, it ain't a judge that can hold me, baby. Everybody in that courtroom gonna have t-shirts with your face on it and angel wings in the background. Cause I promise you, you gonna meet your maker. And that's all there is to it. Like you messed up. You punched this girl and knocked her unconscious in front of people. Bad enough that you did it at all. But in front of people, like you about to lose your job. And that would be your job as a wide receiver because that's exactly what happened to Ty'Quan. All those schools that were watching him, yeah, they turned into Ray Charles on that ass. They ain't see shit. They stopped watching that ass. Not only that, but them scholarships disappeared too. Oh, we ain't watching you no more. Mm-mm. Stevie Wonder with it. Everything that you do has a consequence. And so he got kicked off the football team and all of that. Oh, little tink tink. Notice my sarcasm? Yeah. So after he gets kicked off the football team, I guess he thought that, he could do something elsewhere because he transfers from Crenshaw High School to Narbonne High School in Harbor City. Yeah, because nobody talks and can tell people what happened. Nobody will know if you transfer to a new school. The fuck? Needless to say, Rayshonda was done with that ass. Thank God. She and Taekwon split up, and he ends up meeting the Bonnie to his Clyde, and that would be Kiera Dashiell. Now, Kiera is a little different, okay? She's not like Taekwon. She is intelligent. She was born in 1989. Now, Taekwon was born in 1987, I believe. So she was born a couple of years later than him, but she actually graduated the same year that he did. So the math ain't mathing because something up in here is either telling me that that nigga either had to repeat a grade, either one or two times, or she was just smart and graduated early because she also graduated class of 2006, but she's younger than Taekwon by a few years. Okay. But be that as it may, Kiera was exceptionally smart and very pretty, exceptionally smart. She was an honor student, all of that. She graduated from Crenshaw High School as well with honors, had multiple, and I do mean multiple scholarship offers, and she ended up going to UC San Diego to go to college. So, like I said, after Rayshonda decided that she was done with his psychotic ass, he ends up meeting and, kicking it with Kiera. He hooks up with her and they kicking it real hard, real heavy. So Taekwon ends up transferring back to Crenshaw. And like I said, in 2006, he graduates. Now, when he transferred back to Crenshaw, he couldn't play football at all. Like they deaded that shit. Like, nah, nigga, you will never play on this field again. So at least he got the opportunity to graduate, which of course in itself is an accomplishment, won't take that from him. So he enrolls at East LA Community College where he could play football, but it wasn't the same as those major schools in that he was, preparing for the schools that he wanted to go to. And as a matter of fact, in one of his interviews, he was talking about how it was not being able to go to, one of those institutions that he wanted to go to and, how things had kind of shifted for him. So back right before his graduation, he's doing this interview and he says, UCLA is still my leader. It's close to home. I have a lot of friends there and I like their style of play. Basically, everything about them makes them my favorite. And, he was talking about how he was getting good offers from Arizona and Arizona State, Washington, Boise State. And he knew that Arizona was like ready to, give him that offer. And he was like, listen, I thought Arizona had offered me, but then they called my coach and said it wasn't official yet, but that they could soon. Now, this was around the time that he, hit Rayshonda. So he's trying to figure out why all of a sudden all of these offers are being rescinded, and he's just like, I'm just trying to go out there at each camp and show what I'm capable of. I'm finally starting to get some love in the rankings. Now if I could just get some offers. Boy, what? Like, are you serious? Okay. Now don't get it twisted. Like I said, Taekwon had some skills, okay? During his junior year, he was like leading Crenshaw in receiving. I think he had like 64 catches, 1100 yards, 13 touchdowns. They Crenshaw actually finished runner up in the city section. And, not to say he wasn't like dumb or anything, like he had a 2.8 GPA. So, he was holding it down there as well. But for some reason, he was not grasping the concept of you hit a woman and knocked her unconscious. So, of course, they're going to take away those offers. You can't possibly think that colleges are going to want to recruit you after you lose your temper and punch your girlfriend in the face. Like, what are you smoking? I mean, damn, Gina, you got to think smarter than that. Schools can't ruin their brands and their reputations by having a woman beater playing for them. Because that's what you are. Like, do you not see how the professional football players are penalized? Like, you could have at least waited until you was in the NFL to get into some domestic drama like that, where, at least you had a little bit of money in the bank. Wait, that came out wrong. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that he should have still hit the girl. That's not what I meant. But, at the very least, you could have, keep that shit in. You could have held that until you was already playing, already had a contract, already had endorsements. Well, then again, you probably would have had more to lose then because you would have lost all of those endorsements and then been kicked out of the NFL. But, I'm just saying, like, those are things that you got to think about, but you didn't. And now you kicking it at ICDC college. Like, the fuck? I'm sorry. That was wrong. Listen, y'all, I'm sorry, okay? Shout out to anybody that, has decided to go to community college. I'm not saying that a community college is wrong, East LA Community College. All right, shout out to y'all. But my bad, that came out too quick. I'm sorry. So yeah. So Taekwon has graduated and he's with Kiera now and they're kicking it real heavy. She actually moved in with him and his family. But you ain't got a pot to piss in nor a window to throw it out of, but you moving in with your man and his mama? Baby, where they do that at? Where were your parents that they would just allow this? Because you are an honor student. You had scholarships offers to several schools. You were at UC San Diego. Like you had so much promise and then you got dick dumb. Like, and I know y'all are thinking, well, what are you talking about, Kay? Oh, don't worry. I'm about to tell you. Here we go. So it's a few months after graduation, and everybody is doing their thing. They've graduated, living life. And on the evening of September 2nd, 2006, Christina Henry, Donovan Diaz, Ebony White, and Amber Mize, they're all out hanging out. Now, one of the favorite spots for everybody to kick it at was the El Dorado bowling alley. So all the kids are there, they're hanging out, it's getting late, and they decide, all right, we're gonna go ahead and head home. Now it's a little bit after midnight, and there's still like maybe 25 of them still there, but majority of them were inside. So Christina and Donovan, Ebony and Amber, they all get ready to head out outside, and Christina actually sees one of her friends from middle school, this guy named Ryan Benton, and she was like, oh hey, what's up, what's going on? But all of a sudden, while she's talking to him, here comes Taekwon out of nowhere, and he walks up to Donovan, who was on the football team with him, by the way. And he tells Donovan, "Hey, what you got? Give me what you got." And Donovan is confused. He was like, "I don't have anything." And then all of a sudden, here comes Taekwon pulling out a gun. And he was like, "Yo, you better fucking give me what you got, or I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna shoot your ass. Give me what you got." And so Christina, she's frozen. She's just like, "Oh shit. Okay, what do I do? What do I do?" And Taekwon got his homie with him. And he was like, "Yo, we want everything. We want all of that. We want money. We want them sidekicks." Now this was back in the day, okay? This was back in 2006. Y'all remember them sidekick cell phones? Like I had one from I think it was T-Mobile. And oh my god, that thing was so freaking big. It was ridiculous. But, back then that's what they had. They had the sidekicks. So here come Taekwon, he's like, "Yo, we want everything. We want them sidekicks. We want it all." And so Christina, she gave him what he asked for. She gave him her cell phone, and then Donovan had to give up his wallet, and he had this diamond cut Rolex chain. So they've jacked these kids, and then they decide to walk over to Ryan, which was the guy that Christina had initially approached anyway. And so when they get back in the car, Christina, she's shaking and she was just like, "What happened? What happened?" Now her friend Amber sees everything and she was like, "That was Taekwon." And they were like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, that was Taekwon." And it was easy for her because she knew him. They went to school together. And like I said, Donovan and Taekwon played football together. So it was easy for her to recognize him because they were always seeing him. So Christina gets home and she's got Donovan with her. And it's like early in the morning at this point because, like I said, they had left after midnight. So it's early in the morning on September 3rd, 2006. And she comes home, and Christina's mother, Pamela Lark, she sees her and she's just like, "Baby, what's wrong?" And Christina's like, Mama, oh my God, oh my God, we got robbed." And this is when Mama stepped in and said, "Not my baby. Absolutely not." Pamela Sue Lark was born May 4th, 1957, to Alto Lark and Ramona Moore. She had three kids, including Christina, LaShantia Sanders, Craig Menters, and Christina Henry. Now, Pamela was one of those kind of mothers that just, everybody in the neighborhood loved. She was as sweet as could be. She was very protective of her kids, her sisters. She had three sisters. I wasn't able to get all of their information. I know one of them was named Linda Jones. Linda Jones is very, involved and very um vocal about her sisters. Situation in her passing. But, Paula was that, oh, excuse me, Pamela, I don't know where Paula came from. Pamela was that kind of, mother that was very protective of her kids and wanted to make sure that she kept them safe. So when Christina came to her and told her, "Mama, we got robbed," she was like, "Oh, no, not my baby." So she took her and Donovan to the police station and she was like, "Hey, I need to file a report. Some boy done came and robbed my baby, took her cell phone, took, her friend's cell phone and his jewelry. We need to get this taken care of." And so the police, they go back there and they start getting the information from Christina. And Christina flat out tells them, she was just like, "Listen, I know exactly who it was that robbed me. It was Ty'Quan Knox." And the cops are like, "Damn, the football player?" Of course, to them, they're just like, when you first, see athletes, they can think that they could do no wrong. But yeah, Christina and Donovan were dead ass serious. They were like, "Taekwon did this. It was him." So they say, "Okay, all right, we got you." They start getting their information. They bring them back a couple of days later around the 5th, and Christina picks him out of a picture book. And y'all know, if you're familiar with, the photographs, sometimes they'll have you identify the perpetrator by photograph, sometimes by a lineup. So they had her looking through this book of, like, it had like six people on it per page, and she pointed right to Taekwon. And then they also asked her friend, Amber and Ebony. Both of them said, "Yep, it was Taekwon." And then Donovan also identified him. So once they, knew that it was Taekwon, they said, "All right, cool. Let's go arrest his ass." So they go and they arrest Taekwon, and he is charged for robbery. Now, you would think that being charged for a crime, you would say, "Hey, let me stay out of trouble. Let me not do anything else until this trial that will get me into any kind of trouble or that could cause me any type of strife." You would think that, right? Wrong. Not in Taekwon's case. So at this point, Taekwon has been charged with it and he's got to get ready for trial. Now, this is where I'm kinda, like, disturbed because Taekwon's mother, Carla, she takes it upon herself to call Christina. Yes. Not to say, "Hey, Christina, I'm sorry for what happened." Not to say, "Oh my god, I can't believe he did this. I'm gonna beat his ass," whatever. No. She called Christina and, Christina's shocked because she's like, how did you get my number?" And he's just like Taekwon's mom just kinda, like, bypasses it. She was just like, "Well, yeah, I just wanted to talk to you." Now, Christina was smart. She put the phone on speakerphone because she knew she was like, "This woman is calling me about her son." So she put it on speakerphone so that way her mom could hear. And Carla is just like, "Well, hey, baby, I'm not trying to harass you or anything. I was just trying to figure out why the police, why they looking for my son, and I don't know what happened, but hey, you tell me what you need, and I'll make it happen, okay?" And Christina's like, "Girl, what you mean? Tell me what I need. I need for your son to not be out here robbing people. That's what I need. I need for your son to run me my shit." Now she didn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. Okay. But yeah, Taekwon's mom is just like, okay, well, how much is it gonna cost to make it go away? Are you serious? And so I'm sitting back shocked just as much as Christina is. Christina's like, wow. Okay. So she ends up calling the detective. There was a detective that was over the case, Thomas Imma fuck this name up. Thomas Vetrano. I believe that's how it's pronounced. If I mispronounced it, sorry. But Thomas Vetrano, he was the one that was investigating the robberies. And so, Christina calls him and she was like, "Listen, Taekwon's mama, Carla, just called me. I don't even know how she got my number, but she called me talking about how much will it cost to make it go away?" And then on top of that, Pam, why do I keep saying Pam? Jesus. No, that I was right, Pam. I'm sorry, y'all. I've been sipping on this red turtle. So Pamela, which is Christina's mom, she asks Carla, she was like, "Well, why would you ask that question?" She was just like, "Well, hey," she said, "Well, since you calling me, trying to offer my daughter," she said, "Let me ask you this." She said, "If your son was successful in killing my daughter when he robbed her at gunpoint, would you be calling me asking me how much it would cost to make it go away?" And that's a valid question because you're excusing, you know what? Nope. Let me save that for fair or foul. I'm sorry. Y'all know how I get. I go off on a tangent. I'm gonna save that. So, like I said, Christina, she called the detective and she was like, "Hey, this woman done hit me up. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think, but I'm kind of scared." And Vetrano, he's just like, "Don't worry about it. It's gonna be cool. I got you." Couple of weeks go by, and here come Carla calling Christina again. "Well, I was just seeing if you changed your mind." Girl, what? So Christina hangs up. Couple of hours later this time. And here come Carla calling again. But this time she puts Taekwon on the phone with her. And Christina calls her mama. She was like, "Mama, I can't do this. You gotta talk to them. I can't do this." And so Pamela gets on the phone and she's hello. And Taekwon tells her, "I ain't do it." And so, Pamela, she said, "Well, sweetie, if you didn't do it, then you don't have anything to worry about because Christina wouldn't lie on you." And Christina's like, "Yeah, let me go to the detective." So she goes back to Vetrano and she tells him about this phone call. And she was like, "Listen, this is getting out of hand. They're calling me. They done called me twice in one day now. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around this environment. Can y'all please can y'all relocate us? I know y'all got the witness protection program or something. Can you please relocate us?" And so, Detective Vetrano, he thinks about it and he was like, "All right, you know what? If you find a place to live, then we'll come up with the funds to get y'all relocated." And so Christina's like, "Bet." So her and her mom, they start looking and they're looking and they're looking, but they cannot find anything. And so they're stuck basically. They live on Marvin Avenue. They're stuck. And Christina, she's disappointed, she's concerned, she's worried. So it gets to the point that they have to continue to deal with the harassment. Now, it's about a month later, and Taekwon decides that he's going to pawn that gold Rolex chain that he stole from Donovan. Now, he pawned it like 3 times, okay? The first time that he pawned it was October 9th, 2006, and he pawned it, and he was just like, "Nah, this is how they gonna trace me." I guess he thought he was trying to get rid of the evidence by pawning it, which was the dumbest thing he could have done. So he goes back and he was like, "No, Imma just get the shit out." So he goes and picks it up the same day. But then like a month later, on November 14th, he pawns it again. He gets $500 for it. So he gets the money for it, and he comes back a month later on December 27th, 2006, and he pays the $500 plus the little, $40 fee to get it back out of the pawn shop. So then on January 3rd of 2007, this is now a new year, he goes in and he pawns it again. And around March, he was like, I need to get that thing out. I need to get that chain out. But this time he sends his mama to go get it. So Carla goes to the pawn shop on March 10th, 2007, and the pawn shop owner was like, "Nah, I can't give you the chain." And she was like, "Well, why not?" By this time, the cops had a hold on it. See, the cops got the chain and took it to Donovan, who was like, "Yo, this is my shit that he stole. Like, are you serious?" So cops put a hold on it and was like, "Yo, don't sell it, don't pawn it, none of that." And the pawn shop guy, Steve Jacobson, you know, he was just like, "All right, cool. I ain't about to lose my shop for none of you niggas." So he did what the cops told him to do. So on October 12th, 2006 is when, if you remember, I told you Taekwon was charged. Now, he was initially charged with 2 counts of robbery, okay? And the guy that he was talking to right before he robbed Christina and Donovan, um, he ended up messaging Christina and was like, "Hey, this dude Ryan Betton," he was like, What's going on with this police thing?" And she was like, "What you mean?" And he was like, "Well, Taekwon wasn't the one that robbed you. That was like that nigga Shady Blue and Tiny Tony from the 40s gang. They were the ones that robbed y'all." And Christina was like, No, nigga, my eyes work pretty well. I know that it was Taekwon. There were a group of people that were there. They all saw the same person, and it wasn't no Shady Blue or no Tiny Tony from no 40s gang. That nigga was Ty'Quan Knox that robbed us." And so they were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's getting Christina more and more worried. So she goes back to, Detective Vetrano, and she's telling him everything. And she was like, "Hey, this just seems a little creepy." And then she ends up getting a subpoena to go to court for the preliminary hearing about the robberies. And Christina goes to her mama. She was like, "Mama, I don't want to go. I'm telling you, I can't. I don't want to go. I don't want to do this." Now, the hearing was scheduled for January 8th, 2007. And Christina, she's still telling Pamela, she's like, "Mama, please, I can't do this. I don't want to go." And Pamela's like, "Baby, it's going to be all right. I got you." Now, Pamela drove her and Donovan to the preliminary hearing in December, which was December of 2006. And, she's got this little black Mustang that she was driving. So they get to the courthouse, and this is when I'm sorry, this is where Christina sees Kiera and she sees Taekwon. And so they get there, but for whatever reason, the hearing had to be rescheduled. So they changed it to January 8th of 2007. So after they canceled that hearing, you know, everything is kind of relaxed. It's kind of normal for a minute, for like a hot minute. And then Kiera, being the little ride or die chick that she is, she was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna go ride for my man, my man, my man." Now, Christina had a job at a coffee shop. So this chick, Kiera, huh? The audacity, the unmitigated gall. She takes her ass to the coffee shop and she is just like staring at Christina the whole time. Now, Christina's the only one in there. And so she's like, this bitch bit the fuck not. So Kiera ends up ordering a drink, right? And she's sitting there the whole time sipping on her little macchiato all slow and shit. On a side note, macchiato is the shit, but I love me a good old caramel apple spice or Mm. During certain seasons, I gotta have my pumpkin latte, my pumpkin spice. But anyway, I digress. Sorry, I had a moment. So yeah, so Kiera orders her something to drink. She sits down at the table. It's just her in this coffee shop with Christina. And Christina's like, yo, this chick is psycho. So she calls Detective Vetrano and she was like, hey, I'm here at work. And Taekwon's girlfriend is in here just staring at me. And, she was like, if this is what it's going to be like, I'm not going back to court. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go testify. And so Vetrano, he was like, well, look, I hear what you're saying, Christina. I do. But if you don't go, you can end up going to jail yourself. And she's like, what? Why am I going to jail? And he was like, because that'd be a failure to appear and you have to go to court. And, her mom, Pamela, she's basically telling her the same thing. She was like, baby, I understand that you're scared, but listen, we don't have a choice. You got to go to court. And so she is just to the point where she's just like, all right, cool, whatever. So Donovan gets a phone call as well. Now, the court date, remember, was for January 8th. So Donovan gets a phone call on January 2nd, and it's from this girl named Sequoia who he went to high school with. And she tells him, you better watch your back because you know you got that court date coming up. That was the oddest fucking thing to just randomly say. So Donovan was like, yeah, Taekwon is behind this shit. And at this point, it's obvious, you know what I'm saying? So, Pamela is trying to get her daughter ready, and she's just like, "Listen, baby, it's gonna be okay. I got you. Imma be right there." But, unfortunately, that day never happened. So, it is now January 4th, 2007, and Taekwon's trial is coming up literally in just a few days. And him and Kiera, they're sitting there, and he was like, "Babe, man, they about to lock a nigga up. 2 robberies. They about to lock my ass up." And, Kiera's like, "All right, babe, well, what you need me to do? I got you." And he tells her, "Listen, the only way that I can prevent going to prison and getting back to football is if that bitch Christina ain't talking." And Kiera's like, "What you mean?" He was like, "What you think I mean? I mean, if she ain't talking, she dead. I'ma kill her." And I'm just sitting back like, "Wow, yeah, that'll really show people that you're innocent, but okay." So Kiera, she's just like, "All right, babe, well, you just tell me what you need me to do." And he was like, "Yo, I need you to drive me over there. I need you to, hold it down and just wait for me, all right?" And Kiera, she wanna help her man. So she said, "Okay, all right, cool." Now, Pamela and Christina lived in this apartment complex at 2239 Marvin Avenue. So there was a neighbor that, shared the driveway area with them, which was 2233. There was a particular way that you had to access the parking lot. Like the only way that you could get to the parking lot was through that shared driveway. So you had to go through 2239 and 2233's driveway to get to the parking lot. So Pamela would come in through that shared driveway and then she would drive through the lot at the back and park her Mustang. And there were assigned parking spaces at this apartment complex. Hers was, I think, like space number 4 or something like that. So because of the fact that Christina had been getting all of these threats, Pamela was like, "All right, you don't need to be by yourself. Imma go with you to the courthouse. And, Imma go with you when you gotta go to work. Imma drop you off the next couple of days, whatever, whatever." So Christina's brother took Christina to school at about 7 o'clock that morning. And, Christina left. She was like, "All right, mom, I'm gonna talk to you later. Have a good day." She leaves. Her brother picks her up and takes her to school. Now, when she left, she ain't seen nobody out there. So a couple of hours later, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning, and this is when one of the neighbors is leaving his apartment. And about maybe a minute or so after he left, Pamela decides, all right, I need to go ahead and go. Now, at the time, she had her niece, 17-year-old Deshane or Deshani, I think it's Deshani, with her. And then she had her 2-year-old nephew, Gregory. Now, the guy that left his apartment the minute before her was actually her brother, Craig. Those were his kids. So I'm guessing he, like, dropped them off or whatever for her to babysit. And then she decides she's going to leave right after. So they get ready to start walking to Pamela's car. Now she got a 2-year-old little boy and a 17-year-old niece with her. They walk into the car, and remember, it's parked in that back parking lot. She didn't see nobody back there at all. So she's walking back there. She's got her trash in her hand. She walks over to the dumpster and she throws her trash away. And she walks over to her car and she gets ready to open the car door because, she got little Gregory and he's running around. And she's like, okay, let me put this little boy in a seat so he can chill the hell out. And out of nowhere, this tall, skinny guy comes up to her with a mask on, and he says, "Give me the fucking purse, lady." And Pamela, she's shaking with fear. She was like, "Please, sir, there is nothing in it, please." And he's just not trying to hear it. He was like, "Fuck that. Give me the goddamn purse." Before she could even finish her sentence, pop, 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 he shoots her multiple times and then takes off running, doesn't even grab the purse, doesn't take her wallet, doesn't take Deshani's wallet or her iPad or hell, and she had like a Coach wallet, stuff that was right there in his face. Didn't take none of that shit. And so Pamela had been shot 5 times at point blank range. DeShannon, she never saw where the man came from. And, like I said, he came out of nowhere. He was dressed in all black. He had black gloves on. He was wearing this hooded sweatshirt that had the hood pulled down to his forehead. He had a bandana over the lower part of his face. So all you could really see were his eyes and like the bridge of his nose. And the first thing that, DeShanny told the cops was like, hey, this was a tall guy. I knew his eyes from somewhere. He was tall and slender. He had to be about maybe 6 feet tall. Now, in reality, Ty'Quan is 6'1" and about 195 pounds. Okay. So when this happens, when those gunshots ring out, remember I told you that Pamela shared her driveway with another neighbor. That neighbor happened to be Mario Villalobos. So he hears the gunshots, and of course, he's scared. He's just like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And this is about 9 o'clock in the morning. So when it stops, he peeks out of his doorway and he sees a tall man wearing a black, kind of sweater with his hands tucked in, running. The man ran to the front of the yard and hopped over the fence and booked it towards the other end of the street, which was Washington Boulevard. Now, according to Mario, the guy was like 5'8", maybe a little bit taller, and had a slim build. But he didn't get to see his face because of that hood that he had that was worn down to his forehead. He was just like, listen, I just know that he had a lighter complexion, like he was black, but it was like a lighter skin tone. So there's another person that ends up calling the cops as well. Now, this is about 30 minutes later, about maybe 9:30ish, maybe possibly 9:45. But Jackie Smith, she's at Carmana in Washington, which is near Lake's apartment building. And she sees this Chevy Impala with these paper plates that say finance auto. But the thing is, it's parked on the wrong side of the street. So, like, it was very noticeable because the car was just sitting there. It looked out of place. And she sees this, like, little skinny girl with these braids in her hair sitting in the driver's seat. And she was like, okay. So she's dropping her kids off to school and she drives back around. She comes back up the street and she's still sitting there. She was like, huh, okay, that's odd. But this time there's a dude in the car with her. And she was like, "What the fuck is that?" Because when she looked in the window, she sees this nigga in there that's dressed like a ninja. Okay. He got black on, his eyes are the only thing that's visible. You know, you could tell that he was kind of dressed like he didn't want to be seen. So all of these witnesses are starting to see Taekwon. Somebody else said they saw him around 9:30. When they heard the gunshots, they saw a person wearing all black coming from the building where the shots had been fired. Somebody else said they saw him. Like it was just spoiling over. Okay. Now, I guess Taekwon called himself so-called having an alibi because there was a counselor at the high school at Crenshaw High named Mickalyn Jones. And he had texted her and told her, "Oh, well, yeah, I'm gonna help you move some stuff." But he was supposed to come help her earlier in the morning. He ended up texting her at like 9:57 that morning and was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna come help you in a minute. I ain't forgot." I bet you didn't. So they stop and get something to eat. Like he was just like, all right, I'm gonna get something to eat and then I'm gonna go help this lady. That's his alibi. So they stop at McDonald's at like 10:22 that morning, grab something to eat, and they hop in his Impala and they ride out. That Impala boy, that Impala got him in trouble, trouble. Now, just so happens that Taekwon was not smarter than a fifth grader because Taekwon used his cell phone while he was still in the area of Pamela's house. Yes, didn't wait to say, hey, let me, call from a different area. Nothing. So the cops get there to Pamela's house and they're doing their investigation, and all of these neighbors are coming forward. And, on top of that, Pamela's niece, Deshani, and her nephew, her 2-year-old nephew, had to witness his aunt be murdered in front of him. The 17-year-old girl had to witness this. Christina had to come home to find out that her mother, had passed away. And so all of these people are coming forward and everybody is saying the same person. Ty'Quan Knox killed Pamela. Now, like I said, he had on all black, the black gloves and everything, the hoodie, the bandana, and then, he had like his um girlfriend in the car, driving as the getaway or whatever. So she's thinking that he's gonna go kill Christina, but Christina wasn't there because she was already at school, so he did the next best thing and shot and killed her mama, which isn't the next best thing, obviously, but, yeah. So with everybody telling the police like, "Hey, Taekwon is the one that did this," he ain't got many places that he can hide because literally the next day, the cops go to his house. January 5th, 2007, they go to Taekwon Knox's house and they find a shit ton of evidence. They find the text messages. They find the black pants and the black sweatshirt that he had on. They were in his bedroom. Like, you ain't even bother to throw them shits in the trash. You like, come on, man. You gotta do better than that. Like, this is where I start to think,
No, you done fucked up, right? No, 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 no. You know you done fucked up, right?
so the day that Pamela is arrested, the cops now have more than enough evidence and witness testimony to know that Taekwon was behind it. So they go to Taekwon's house and they arrest not only him, but Kiera as well. And they are both arrested and charged with murder. Y'all, when I tell you, baby, Kiera is rada die, okay? They got them separated. I'm sorry. They got them separated in two rooms, right? So, whew, this is so funny. They get to the police station, and like I said, they were arrested the same day as the murder because Kiera had actually left her scarf in Tyquan's car, and he had that Chevy Impala that still had the paper tags. He didn't have an actual license plate yet, so his car stood out even more. They take these 2 bumblefucks and put them in 2 separate rooms, and, like, the whole time, Tyquan is just chill. Like, he's not really saying much, but Kiera, on the other hand, not so much. Kiera was like, "No, y'all ain't gonna take my man. Y'all ain't gonna set him up. Y'all pigs can't hold him. Y'all can't see him. Y'all not gonna take my man, my man, my man, my man." Girl, if you don't shut the entire fuck up. He is in a whole nother room, okay? He can hear all of this shit, by the way. So, like, she's going off to the police officers, and she was like, "Y'all trying to say that he set this up. Y'all trying to say that he killed that lady. He ain't do nothing. He ain't do nothing." And then she's like screaming at him, "Baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. They can't hold us down. I got you, boo. I love you." This nigga ain't said a fucking word to her, okay? Not one funky ass word. He chilling. Baby, they trying to set you up. They trying to set you up. They trying to set you up. Finally, this nigga said, "Girl, hush." He was like, "Yo, shut the fuck up." That was hilarious to me. So, during all of this, like I said, they're questioning them. And of course, Taekwon is just like, "I wasn't in the area, I went to the valley around, 9, 10 o'clock. I was with somebody else. I wasn't there." And they were like, "Bullshit," you know? So, that didn't really last too long, and then, like I said, the very next day, they went to his house, and those black pants and the black sweatshirt were in his room. So, um, when they searched his car, that's when they found the scarf and everything that one of the witnesses had identified that Kiera was wearing. So it's looking pretty bad for them. So they get arrested the whole time. Kiera's just like, "I'ma hold you down, boo. I'ma hold you down, you ignorant bitch." But okay. And so, they get arrested, they get charged, and they get ready to go to trial. Now, the trial, oh, baby, Kiera denied it through and through. "I ain't had nothing to do with it. I ain't kill nobody. Ain't nobody kill nobody. He didn't do it. He didn't do it." All of that, which is bullshit because, like, you knew exactly why you were there. Like, his selfish reasons for wanting to kill this girl was so that he could go play football again. Like, bruh, really? And then you ended up killing the wrong person. Like, you shouldn't kill nobody in the first place, but you killed her mama. And her mama was just trying to get her to do the right thing, like most parents would. You know what I'm saying? So they are getting ready for trial. Now, for whatever reason, this murder took place in January of 2007. They didn't have the first trial until like 2009. They kept having to go to court. It kept being rescheduled. Like it was just a bunch of shit. And one of the biggest hangups that almost got Taekwon off was his physical description. See, Mario Villalobos in his original statement said that he thought, the guy was like 5'8", but Taekwon is actually 6'1". So that was an issue, but prosecution wasn't too worried, you know what I'm saying? So the prosecutor was Deputy District Attorney Danette Myers. And Danette laid it out. She was like, "Listen, Kiera DeShiel drove her boyfriend to a Los Angeles apartment building early one morning in 2007, and she knew exactly why they were there. They were there to kill Christina Henry, and they wanted to keep her from testifying." And, of course, Taekwon, he's sitting there pissed in a motherfucker. He's sitting there mumbling under his breath, talking cold cash shit, all of that. And here's the thing. Taekwon gets arrested, and like I said, when he got arrested, his mama, her being her, she paid his bail. Now his bond or bail was like $200,000. I don't know where the fuck she got that from, but she paid that shit so that her child could be free. And Kiera, the entire time, she's still denying her, involvement at all. And so the prosecutors are looking like, "Hey, this isn't no crime of passion. This is premeditated. Like, you knew what you were doing. You intentionally charged this. So or you intentionally did this, so we're gonna charge this." So, ultimately, they end up having a trial, and whoo, when I tell you, yeah, it went just like we thought it would. Um Ty'Quan, he's sitting there, and he's getting all of this evidence piled up against him. They've got cell phone records, they've got video footage from the McDonald's, they've got witness placement, witness testimony, all of this. And he's just sitting there mumbling under his breath, like, these motherfuckers. Duh." And the judge was like, "What's that, young man? You got something to say?" "Fuck you." And I'm just like, "Yeah, that'll really make a judge believe you. You tell a judge, 'fuck you,' a dumbass." So, ultimately, he ends up being found guilty. Now, the reason why he was able to be found guilty is because after almost 4 years, Kiera has decided, "I don't wanna fight no more. Can't do it no more. I'm just gonna plead guilty." So, she pleads guilty, and she pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and attempted robbery, and this was by 2013. Remember, this shit happened in 2007, okay? They had to keep going to trial and all of that, and the only thing that they could have really gotten her with was attempted robbery because she wasn't actually there with Taekwon helping him kill Pamela, but she knew about it. So she ends up pleading guilty to second degree murder and attempted robbery in 2013, and she gets sentenced to 15 years to life in prison for murder and an additional 4 years in prison on the robbery charge and a gun enhancement. So the earliest that they said that she would have been eligible for parole was 2025. Now, that didn't actually happen though, because even though this is what she was supposed to receive, her sentence was way shorter than that. So in all actuality, Kiera, she did end up doing some time in prison, but she was released like I want to say back in 2019 or 2020 because right now she's currently, as of what Facebook says, she's a community health worker at Anti-Recidivism Coalition and Black Woman for Wellness. So, based off of what I saw from her Facebook, she's doing okay, and hopefully she has no involvement with that fuck nigga. Now, as far as Taekwon, his sentence wasn't so lucky. So, homeboy went from being a wide receiver on the field to a wide receiver at the California State Prison in Centinela, California. Yep. He was sentenced to life without parole as of December 6th, 2011. Mm, mm, mm. Damn shame what they did to that dog. And he's still there to this day. Now, Pamela was laid to rest on January 13th, 2007, at the Inglewood Park Cemetery, and she was 49 at the time that she passed away. Now, some of the things that I felt were very shady during the trial, and part of the reason why it took so long, one of those was her brother-in-law, Michael Slider. Now, Michael Slider was a police officer for the city, okay? Now, this is Crenshaw, this is California, this is Los Angeles, California. He was a police officer, and because of what happened to his sister-in-law, he decided to blur the lines of justice, and I feel like this could have, potentially fucked up the situation even more. But because of how upset he was with everything, he ended up, um basically crossing that blue line, and he had access to the arrest records, to the files, and all of that. He felt like, okay, not enough is being done. So he used those records to give to the attorney, which was a big time no no. Like, you yourself, as the officer, you should have no involvement. You should have walked away, but he chose not to do that. Now, it just so happens that Christina's family sued the city, and because of what Michael did, had Michael not done what he did, they probably would have had a better chance of winning that lawsuit. But because he pulled that stunt, then, the city was like, well, hey, this is what we're going to do. Your ass should be fired for this shit. You really should, and that's facts. You using, your position as a police officer to try to, one up the system or to try to cheat the system, whatever, whatever. So they said, all right, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Technically, your motherfucking ass should be fired. But what we're gonna do is give you a 5-day suspension without pay if you can get them to drop the suit. Michael was like, nah, I ain't doing that shit. Hell no. No. Y'all murdered my sister-in-law. They murdered my sister-in-law. Y'all not doing nothing about it. Nah, I ain't doing it. And so they were like, okay. So Michael ended up getting fired. Literally the very next year, he got fired. And I'm like, you could have took this shit and just had 5-day suspension. They wanted you to stay on the force. They wanted you to do your job, but you fucked it up. And now you don't have a job. You don't have your pension. You don't have any of that shit. And they still dismissed the lawsuit. So it was a lose lose in that situation. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, Taekwon ends up going to prison. Like I said, he is at the California State Prison in Centinela, California. But his story doesn't necessarily end there. Oh, yeah, there's more. Well, what do you mean, Kay? Oh, don't worry, I'm about to tell you. Do you hear wedding bells? Because I do. Now, y'all remember that I told you that it took a while with the trial for Taekwon to be sentenced and found guilty? He was actually tried 3 times based on the charges, okay? So, he was tried November 17th of 2009, and the jury found him guilty of, 6 counts, or excuse me, 1 count of murder and then, like, 5 other counts. But there was a situation where the jury became deadlocked on certain counts. And so the trial had to be considered a mistrial because if they couldn't come to a resolution on all of the counts, then yeah, naturally you have to have a mistrial. Then again, the trial occurred. Second trial was September 8th of 2010, and the jury was deadlocked on the same counts, and he got another mistrial. So the third time was the charm because July 18th of 2011, he was found guilty of 2 counts of robbery. He was found guilty of gun allegations, first-degree murder, and lying in wait special circumstances. Those are the ones that they were having difficulty with the first few times, but he was found guilty on that third one. Third time's the charm. But in the midst of all of this, he was sentenced on November 8th of 2011. And like I said, he was sentenced to life without parole in prison, but he also got 5 years plus a consecutive 10 years for the robbery, a consecutive 1 year plus 3 years, 4 months for the lying in wait charge. Now, here's the funny thing. Homie got all of this going on. But don't you know it turned into a love after lockup situation? Yes, honey, baby. Taekwon done went and met him a boo. Now, for the life of me, I don't know how they met. I wish I did. I actually hit her up to see if she wanted to, tell her side or tell their side. And unfortunately, she was saying that she had to, check with him and like get his permission or whatever. So with the time frame of my episodes, I knew I did not have that kind of time to wait. So I had to keep pushing with the episode. But Taquan met him a little boo thing. Mhm. Shira McCord. So Shira McCord apparently attended the same high school as well. Not 100% sure. I'm still trying to get a lot of information on her. What I did find on social media is mainly, surprisingly, it's mostly about Taekwon. Everything that she posts, it kind of focuses around him. What I do know is that Shira had children before she had met Taekwon. She had, I believe, 2 other children, and when she met Taekwon, she fell for him. Like, I mean, fell hard. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, love after lockup, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? So all of this time, Shira has just been going hard for her man, going hard for her man. And she's, telling him how much she loves him and how much she appreciates him and, all of that. And he was like, yeah, baby, I love you too. We gonna be together. Let's do this thing. And they get married. Yes. Y'all, I saw the pictures myself, went online. They had like they they even had wedding programs printed up. I mean, it was like real blank, but they had wedding programs printed up and everything. Okay. Like I was just like, wow. So they actually got married. Let me see if I can try to find it. I remember seeing the program, but oh God, when did it say that they got married? Let me see if I can pull it up. See, I should have been better prepared for this one. Oh, I meant to tell y'all while I'm looking for that, guess who the attorney general was for this trial? None other than Kamala Harris. Yes, ma'am, Pam, honey. Kamala Harris was all in that thing, okay? Like, wow. So, okay. This is what I found about Shira. She has a petition on change.org, and the petition is titled The Change, or excuse me, The Issue. And it says, I am starting this petition for my husband, Ty'Quan Knox. He has been incarcerated since January of 2007. This year, he has served 15 years. At 18 years old, he was tried and convicted of murder and robbery and was sentenced to life without parole, plus 21 years, plus 25 years. He is currently serving his sentence at the Centinela State Prison in Imperial, California. Taekwon and I attended high school together and maintained a friendship throughout the years, and we married in 2017. Pause. We're going to stop right there. Okay. Now, Taekwon has been in prison since 2011. Okay. He met, well, I shouldn't say met, but he reconnected with Shira. And my thing is, okay, y'all knew each other since high school. Where were you? I wanna say, where were you then? Because 'Cause I'm like, okay, he clearly had other girlfriends, he clearly was out there doing his thing, but y'all were supposedly friends and maintained a friendship this whole time. So, where was that friendship to say, "Hey, nigga, you fucking up." You know what I'm saying? But that's just what I'm thinking. So, like I said, they actually did get married. Like in 2017, they had I guess, a state penitentiary wedding. They had programs printed up, the whole shebang. And it only gets better from there, y'all. Don't you know? I'm assuming that homie had either a conjugal visit, or B, artificial insemination. But Shira ended up pregnant with their daughter. Yep. So, back to this. Okay, so back to the letter from change.org. So she says he's no longer the 18-year-old boy he was when he was arrested. He is now a 34-year-old man who is a loving husband and father. Prior to my husband's arrest, he had a promising future with multiple college scholarship offers and had to quickly adjust to those opportunities being taken away from him. He has attempted to make the best of his situation by participating in a few of the short list of self help programs the institution he is currently in offers, like computer courses, as well as learning the skill of barbering, with hopes of pursuing more in the near future as spaces become available for other courses he wishes to participate in. Despite the unimaginable circumstances my husband is currently in, he remains positive while continuing to mature and show tremendous amounts of growth while embracing every opportunity given to him. I am starting this petition in hopes of my husband being granted clemency and given a second chance at life that will not only affect his life, but the life of his family and loved ones. In closing, I'd like to thank everyone who takes the time to sign this petition on behalf of my husband so that he may be given the opportunity and freedom to join his family and contribute to society the way we know he can and will. Sincerely, excuse me, Shira Knox. Hmm. Now, this was in 2022. So she actually had a lot of posts that go all the way back to like 2021. One of which I'm going to read you was from June 13th to Governor Gavin Newsom. She says, Governor Newsom, my name is Shira Knox. I am writing you this letter to urge you to review a case in which I feel an innocent man by the name of Ty'Quan Carl Knox, who is also my husband and is currently being housed at Centinela State Prison, was tried and convicted of. He has been in prison for 14 and a half years for a crime he did not commit. When this case was brought to trial, Ty'Quan was only 19 years old. There was a co defendant whose story changed multiple times throughout the investigation and trial proceedings, an unreliable eyewitness who failed to identify my husband prior to trial. Due to the detectives working the case failing to perform an in person identification or a photo array in which case means, Taekwon's due process was violated. They had no physical evidence to prove my husband was involved in the crime he is in prison for. We have attempted multiple times to present this information to the appellate court, only to be told his information should have been brought to the attention of the courts in the beginning, but due to the ineffective counsel, it wasn't. And even now, with a new attorney, we have hit nothing but roadblocks. The state had merely circumstantial evidence, and I believe they did not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. They simply fixated on one person and had merely circumstantial evidence. And I believe that, excuse me, I read that sentence twice, and deemed him guilty before proving it to a jury of his peers. And the fact that it took three trials to convict two, of which ended in hung juries, proves that there were more flaws in the state's case against this man at the time of conviction. He had never been incarcerated with a clean record prior to this and a promising future, and that was all cut short. He was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, plus 21 years for a first time offender. That is an excessive sentence for anyone, let alone a first time offender who was only 19 years old at the time of conviction. If the goal of the correctional system is to rehabilitate, how can a then young man, now turned adult, husband, father, and stepfather ever have a chance to prove he has been rehabilitated with a sentence so harsh, a sentence that will never give him the opportunity to do so? I know you get plenty of letters like this, and I know there is a chance you may never read this, but I am hopeful that this makes it to your desk, and I'm hoping that with the outlook you have on the criminal justice system and your willingness to push criminal justice reform, this letter will urge you to look into this case. I have known Taekwon for 15 years. We have been married for 4 years. I can personally attest to his growth as an individual, as well as from a boy to a man, and can undeniably say that he has changed and deserves an opportunity to become a productive member of society that he would have had the opportunity to become had this case not been mishandled by the men and women assigned to it. In closing, I pray that your refreshing perspective on the criminal justice system will point out the mishandling of cases by the courts and men and women's lives aren't discarded as if they don't matter. Thank you, Mrs. Knox. Woo, that was quite a read there, huh? Yeah. So, of course, I did some digging. And baby, woo, the shit people had to say. So there was a post that was made. There is this page, Barkboard, and the page basically discusses, what happened and how he went from being, the wide receiver on the field to the wide receiver in the pen. And, he receiving that. I'm just saying, bing bong, fuck your life. Um, I'm gonna do better, I promise. Okay, so I was on this post. Now, here's the thing, a lot of people actually do believe that he is innocent. And looking at some of the evidence that was presented, like his wife Shira was saying, she was saying, okay, hey, there were two hung juries, there were two mistrials prior to that third trial. She's saying, hey, there's circumstantial evidence, there's not, solidified evidence. Although for me, I'm looking like, okay, you had multiple, not just one witness, but multiple witnesses identify you. The clothes from the crime scene were found in your bedroom and in your car. Your, girlfriend at the time, although her story changed, it was because she was trying to protect you, and so it to me is just like, eh, you know, this fair or foul tonight might be a little this one might be a little fun. But I was doing some digging, and remember I told y'all how he was just like, "Oh, I don't understand what happened and why, you know, nobody is offering me letters anymore and scholarships and da 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 da." So there was a few posts that really stood out. And one of them mentioned his mother. Actually, there were a few that were on his side. There was one that said, "Man, fuck y'all. You don't know shit about what's going on and you don't know him. I went to school with him and y'all truly can't say shit if you don't know him. That's my boy, so get a life and fuck off." First of all, they need speak and damn spell. They need Rosetta Stone because half them words was misspelled and it was driving me nuts when I read it. But okay. There was another person that responded and said, where is it? Okay. What a loser. He deserves whatever he gets coming to him. How could he? How can his mother condone it? Ain't no way in hell one would want him to represent their university. He sounds real pompous, like he above the law or something. Ha 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 to you, Mr. Knox, because your attempt to be heard officially made you the laughing stock of Crenshaw High. So much for your legacy. You're a loser. Mm, okay. But it was this one that really kind of stood out. And it said, "Dude was the Maurice Claret that never touched the field. I heard of him in LA. Ain't nobody cared of him, and he ain't no big time nothing. The teachers that say they scared to speak on him might not even know about him, just heard. Because if he was really this John Gotti type of person, he would have got a better getaway driver than his girlfriend, laughing out loud. That right there should have told him it was a bad idea if all of them supposed boys of his weren't down to drive you and they were all hooded out. What make you think an honor roll UC scholarship girl would be a better choice? To be fair, I can see his innocence if the girl was obsessed with him, she could have had the murder set up without his knowledge and thought that it would be a great idea to impress him, but his NFL dreams are gone and unless he moves to a different country, his innocence doesn't even matter. Like what career will be able to obtain? Oh, so then before he is like in prison, Taekwon says, "People haven't seen the last of me. I've got a chip on my shoulder now." And somebody said, "Well, this clearly shows his true nature, that being a smug, loose cannon with no self control over his thinking or speaking processes." I was like, damn, talk that shit. Now, this last one here, this is the last one I'm going to read. And it says, to Taekwon's mother, "Look, Carla, at what you did. You made all of this happen by calling my mom. You are my age. My kids had to witness their grandma being gunned down because you incited your child to get rid of these witnesses. You're a sorry excuse of a womb toddle mother. You started this. Yes, your son robbed my sister, but you are really the one who should be doing life. He followed your lead. You were the one calling my mother to see what it would take to make all of this go away. Who does that when your child gets in trouble? Yes, you support your child. You do not try to make their problems go away. You taught him to fuck people over. Look at you. You're tired, evil, just a stank ass crazy bitch. You talk shit to us like we've done something to you. Bitch, I don't give a shit about you. I come to court to see justice. My mother was murdered by a young punk that should only be mad at you, not the world. You are the one that made him all that he is. But Taekwon will soon be Taekwona, who's those with those big lips of his. God damn. But yes, you should be locked up. And your scandalous family really they want to fight because he was found guilty. We didn't put him there. You did. You did this to your son. She said, Taekwon will soon be Taekwondo with those big lips of his. God almighty. Ooh, that was some low down treacherous right there, boy. Like, mm. Okay, so there's actually one more that I wanted to read. It says, I knew and worked closely with Taekwon at Crenshaw High School. He had a bad attitude and he caused much drama for students and adults there because of his dysfunctional home life. Question mark. The school did not fail him. His mother did. She defended all of his horrible behavior, which was demonstrated at every school he attended as far back as elementary school. I was a school official there, well liked and respected by all the students. He was on his best behavior most times with me, but I saw the damage he did firsthand. He thought he was superior and smarter than everyone else. Taekwon is a sociopath. He did everything they said he did and more. To those who are defending him, you are just blind and ignorant and you don't know what you are talking about. baby. They are going in on Ty'Quan. Shit. So yeah, that is what people are saying. So, like I said, with Shira, writing and doing the petition for change.org and, trying to get all of this in, I'm kind of just like, okay, a part of me feels like, well, does she really know? Because if you went to school with this man and all of these people are saying these things about him, y'all know the phrase, you're the common denominator. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody can't be lying on you. At some point, you've got to take accountability. At some point, you got to sit back and say, all right, I've been fucking up. Let me, figure out how to fix this. And I get it. She's, his wife. And now you brought a child into this world with this man. And, it's sad because right now you're going off the hopes that he does get out. But it's just like, yo, your child is being raised. And, to each their own. Hell, I damn sure ain't gonna tell nobody how to raise their kids because I'd be damned if somebody tell me how to raise mine. But I'm just thinking like, yo, your baby can't be around their father every day. They can't just run into the room and dada, whatever. Like your baby is gonna get older and they're gonna start to wonder why they can only see their, father certain days of the month, behind bars. So, with this one, I'm just kinda like, okay, I empathize and I pity. Well, I don't wanna say pity. I empathize for her. I sympathize for her because it's like, "Yo, you are this in love with a man." He could have changed. He been in there all this time. He grown at this point. Like, homie's like 37, I think, in prison, and he been there for 20 years. So I'm like, "Okay, he probably has changed a little bit." I don't know, but at the end of the day, and y'all can clearly see I've slipped into fair or foul. But at the end of the day, you still did something wrong. And for her to say, okay, well, hey, he's in prison for a crime he did not commit. At the end of the day, it started all of this spiral because he committed a crime. He committed a robbery. And instead of him owning up to that and possibly getting just a little bit of time because he did not want to, go down that road and say, all right, hey, I'm, accepting responsibility for what I did. I'm, owning up to it, I fucked up. Instead of him doing that, it has turned into, all right, well, I need to figure out how to get out of this. And then, he's got his mama in his ear, like, yo, you not about to go to prison. You need to figure out how to shut her up. She even went as far as, and that's some sick shit. She even went as far as contacting Christina to say, hey, how much is it going to take, for you to back down, for you not to testify, which is in itself an admission of guilt. He robbed 2 people at gunpoint. They were able to identify him. He didn't even so much as bother to cover his face. He didn't even so much as bother to hide his identity. Multiple people identified this man. So it's hard to sit there and say, "Oh, okay, well, he's in crime or he's in prison for a crime that he didn't commit." Which crime? Are you referring to the robbery, or are you referring to witness tampering? Are you referring to the murder? Are you referring to which crime? He shot and killed a person. He shot and killed a woman because she was taking her baby to testify against him. His own mother told him, "Handle that shit." He did it. And that's something that he has to live with. Like I said, yes, prison is 100% about rehabilitation. So he very well could have, been rehabilitated. And if he is, more power to him and congratulations on that. But at the end of the day, you got mad because the football offers stopped coming in. The school stopped watching you. They stopped watching you because when they did, you took that opportunity and you made it ugly. When the schools were watching you, you took that opportunity and you hurt somebody with it. You hurt somebody that was supposed to be your girl. You knocked her unconscious. My nigga, what the fuck? You can't sit there and say, "Oh, I got a chip on my shoulder." Knock that bitch off the way you fucking knocked her ass out. Knock that goddamn shoulder, that damn chip off your shoulder because you did it. Take accountability. You are the common denominator in the robbery. You are the common denominator in these schools not coming to see you play anymore and not giving you offers and you having to go to ICDC college. You are the common denominator in the reason why these people were about to go testify against you in court because you were the one that went and robbed them and then pawned the necklace 3 times to the point that your mama had to go try to pawn it. You are the common denominator. You are the one that took that gun and went and shot and killed that woman because she was going to take her daughter to testify against you. I get it, you were scared. I get it that, all of this was going on, but that was not the way to handle it. And then, hell, Kiera Dashia, whatever her name is, she ain't no better. She sat there with you with this whole I'm a ride for my man shit, and she rode her ass right to prison. She had a promising future. And it's like, y'all gotta stop being females, we gotta stop being dick dumb when it comes to these niggas. I am a living witness to being dick dumb, baby. When I say that there has been niggas that have fucked me so good that I just act so goddamn stupid. And then I'm sitting back like looking back at it, months later when the shit ain't worked out or whatever. And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck was I thinking? I done fucked up my life for this nigga for whatever time being. I done fucked my shit up for this motherfucker. We gotta stop being dick dumb. Same thing with these niggas out here. Y'all gotta stop being pussy whipped. At the end of the day, there should be no pussy on this planet that should have y'all out there doing something stupid like that. If a nigga come to me and I tell him, "Oh, I want you to go and kill this motherfucker," and then I fuck him so good that he says, "Okay, Imma go do that shit," nigga, Imma be looking at you sideways. If a nigga is dicking me down so good and tells me, "I want you to kill this bitch," nigga, your dick ain't that good. 'Cause trust me, I could go get more. So, like, we gotta stop being dick dumb when it comes to these niggas. Just as much as we get niggas, y'all gotta stop being pussy whipped, okay? That's just what it is. And I can't say it any more plainer than that. Like, we gotta do better, okay? That's what it is. We gotta do better. As of now, the kids of Pamela are all grown and, living their best life. Like I said, Pamela did have a sister, Linda, that is very, vocal about her sister and keeping everybody together and all of that. She posts on social media quite often about Pamela and, everything that was going on and, trying to keep her memory up. As far as Pamela's kids, of course, Christina, she has, gotten older. She has a daughter now. I think the daughter's name is Carlin or something like that. Her daughter, Lashantia, I couldn't really find much on her, but I did actually find out that her son, Craig, he just became a cop in California, like literally within the last couple of months. So, congratulations. As far as Kiera, as I said before, per her social media, she is a community health worker at Anti-Recidivism Coalition and Black Women for Wellness. So it sounds like, that situation has kind of changed her, and I'm hoping that it did for the better, and, that she's living her life and living it properly and living it the right way. Ty'Quan, he's still at the California State Prison in Centinela, California. He is married to Shira McCord, and according to Shira, he's, a great stepfather and a husband and a great father to their little girl. So, more power to her. Like I said, I feel like there were so many other ways that this could have been handled. Murder should never be a reason to stop somebody from testifying against you. Like, and it happens a whole lot more than we think. You know what I'm saying? It really does. But I mean, that's just, it's unfortunate, but that's what it is. So, yeah. That is all for this week's episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on various streams on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. And that's a number one, by the way, not spelled out. And you can leave a review there. On X, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can join the private discussion group, the infamous ones discussion group. But y'all already know the deal. You got to answer the questions, okay? I just booted out like, I think there were like 10 pending requests from people that didn't answer the questions. I keep telling y'all, answer the damn questions. It's just that simple. It's 3 questions. Why is it so hard for people to answer 3 questions? Damn. Anyway, but once you get in, hey y'all, my info mobsters, we steady mobbing. I like that. I don't know. Does that catchy to y'all, or do y'all really like Infamigos? Y'all let me know. But I really like. Like I said, I'm liking both of them. Shout out to Kelly Pittman for being the winner. But yeah, I like the Info mobsters because I'm like, okay, we steady mobbing. Anyway. The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so on and so on. So leave a review because it only takes a few seconds and the reviews matter. And speaking of reviews, got a couple of good ones. So yeah, y'all been ripping it up on Spotify as usual. But yeah. So I'm gonna read a couple of the reviews this week that are coming from Apple Podcast. Okay. So actually no, there is one that I'm gonna read from Spotify, and it was from Stacy Washington. It was on the Murder for Hire episode. She says, I love the show. I found it a few weeks ago and I've been hooked, working my way from the beginning. I just finished the Leicester Street murders. I remember seeing the first 48 episode years ago and was shook then and still shooketh. I love the excerpts from Menace to Society and Cardi, and I used to get annoyed with the country voices that you do, but now I love them. Keep it up, Kay. You're doing a great job. Oh, thank you. Listen, I be having fun with my little country twang, and you gonna take your ass. Oh my gosh, I love doing that. Some people, I've had one person complain about it, but I was just like, nah, too many people said they loved it, so I'm gonna keep it going. Whatever. This next one comes from Apple Podcast, and it is from, oh Lord, Jash. It's either J Ash Robin or we're gonna go with that. Okay. It says, "This is my type of carrying on." She says, I'm so happy I found another Black true crime podcast narrated by one of the girls. I started a month ago and I've already binged every episode. Don't want to be pushy, but I'm about to be. I need more. No, but seriously, I love this show. Can't wait to hear more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Obviously, this week y'all are getting 2 episodes because, I extended the contest and didn't record on Sunday, so y'all are getting an episode tonight, and then you're gonna get another one on Sunday so that we can stay on track with the Sunday episodes. So, yeah, y'all know I'm taking care of y'all. I'm looking out for y'all, okay? So expect another episode on Sunday. Don't worry, I'm not gonna leave y'all high and dry. Speaking of dry, my throat is dry. It's a little parched right now, okay? Um, but yeah, like I said, y'all make sure y'all keep leaving those reviews. I am so close to getting 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts. I know that's like crazy because you got all these other podcasts out here that's got like thousands of reviews, like freaking of course, Sisters Who Kill. Shout out to Sisters Who Kill. They killing it with the reviews. You've got Black Girl Gone. She's killing it with the reviews. Melanin Mayhem, hey Renee with New Our Nation. You've got Melanin Mysteries with Tiffany and Willie. They're killing it. I love, love, love looking at my playlist because it's just like, yo, there are so many dope ass podcasters. And like I said, it's so much room at the table for everybody to eat. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, if you want to support the show, or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor that we've been sipping on tonight, click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to subscribe. You can also donate via the Cash App at $infamous one pod. That's $INFAMOUSONEPOD. Donations go toward research and, of course, snacks. And as always, shout out to my popcorn gang who makes sure that I'm good every week. So quick announcement. Mm. I hope y'all are ready for this. I said I was gonna wait till Sunday, but I can't wait. I gotta tell y'all now, okay? Quick announcement. Get ready. So, as many of you all know, I am a resident of the state of Georgia. And a lot of you are asking for, a lot of you are asking for meetups. A lot of you are saying you want live videos. A lot of you are saying, oh, you should go on YouTube. You should do this. You should do that. Well, I have a little treat for you all. So, Saturday, I'm sorry, I am so wrong. Saturday, June 14th. I don't know why I keep saying January. I have got to stop drinking so much when I do these episodes. Ugh. June 14th, this year, in Atlanta, Georgia, I will be hosting the first ever Infamous Ones meet and greet. Yes, y'all, you will get an opportunity to purchase your tickets. Your ticket will cover your food, your drink, the entertainment, and moi. Yes, I will be doing an episode live at the Infamous Ones meet and greet Saturday, June 14th, 2025. Now, here's the thing, tickets do not go live yet. There are going to be two different types of tickets. There will be general admission tickets, which are going to be $65. The general admission ticket, like I said, it covers your food, it covers your admission, and it covers your non alcoholic beverages. Then you have the VIP ticket, which is going to cover your admission, your food, your alcoholic and non alcoholic beverages, plus a swag bag that will have t-shirt, mug, and the bag for the Infamous Ones, and a one-on-one meet with me. Yay! Now here's the thing, guys, okay? This isn't like Sisters Who Kill, they be selling out damn auditoriums and shit. No, this is going to be for about 25 people. So if you are in Atlanta, because this is where it will be held, June 14th, 2025, in Atlanta, Georgia, at Margaritaville. Okay. We have rented out the area for Margaritaville. We will have it to ourselves. It will be nothing but food, fun, and just laughs, and of course, true crime. So, like I said, I'm not renting out no daggum, theater hall, nothing like that. This is going to be for about 25 people. So the first 25 people that get a ticket, that's it. Okay. Maybe 30. I'm going to try to see if I can push it to 30, but maybe 30. I will also have a surprise guest, and they are part of the true crime world. So it is going to be interesting. But yes, tickets will go live this Sunday, February 9th. Okay, so Sunday, February 9th, you will be able to purchase a ticket. Remember what I said, general admission is going to be $65. It's going to be on Eventbrite, so I'm going to post the link in the Facebook discussion group. But the general admission tickets are $65. You'll be able to have food, non alcoholic beverages, and of course, we'll be sitting down and discussing a case live. VIP tickets, you're getting the same thing. You're also going to be getting a swag bag and alcoholic beverages. Good thing is, everybody gets opportunity to take photos with me, your girl, Kay, the infomobster. Ew. So I am so excited. I hope y'all are. Atlanta, get ready. If you in the Atlanta area, come on, boo. Okay? This about to be fun. We about to turn up. We about to get lit. We about to have some fun, baby. Okay? So, with that being said, let me go ahead and finish, closing this on out. Um, if you have a case that you want to hear more on, that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, if you want to inquire about ad space, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamous1pod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. And once again, people, please share, share, share. This podcast is growing by the day, and it means the world to me. So please keep sharing. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl, Kay. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I will see y'all Sunday with a new episode. Stay mobbing. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.